All right, everybody. It looks like there's some folks still trickling in. So I'll just start off by introducing myself. My name is Brian Harris. I work in the Marketing and Education Department at USA North 811. Today I have Colin Miotti with me. He is the manager of the Marketing and Education Department. He's going to be answering your questions during the presentation. So if you have any questions at all, make sure you use that Q&A button. That's the question and answer button along the bottom there. It should be on the bottom. Maybe it's on the top of your screen. Look for Q&A, click that button, post your question in there. You can post it anonymously if you'd like. Colin will see all of your questions. He'll try and answer as many of them as he can. This is slated to be only about 30 minutes or so. If you've got some other questions that weren't addressed or you want to stick around afterwards, Colin and I are happy to hang around, answer some of those questions for you, and stay a little bit longer if there's lots of you out there that have unanswered questions. Just to get things going here, this is the California law update, right? This is some new laws coming down the pipe that everyone should be aware of. We wanted to give everyone a quick, kind of easy reminder, an update on what these laws look like and what to expect. Now, keep in mind that Colin and myself are not lawyers. Of course, we cannot give you legal advice. We're not here to interpret the law. We're just here to try and give you a little head start on what to expect in the coming months, all right? So, let's get started. The California law update that we're going over today is mostly everything that most of these items are coming into an effect on July 1st. That's why you see that date there. So Wednesday, July 1st is when most of these things go into effect. We'll be talking about the Government Code 4216 in California, which hopefully most of you already know about or are aware of. Also, Title 19 of the California Code of Regulations. There's some new things going in that section of the law that we'll be talking about as well. First and foremost, the mouthful of a title, Underground Facilities Safe Excavation Board, really just the Dig Safe Board for short. That's what everybody calls it. That's what they call themselves. The Dig Safe Board is a new entity in California, a new government state entity that is essentially overseeing the safe excavation laws of all of California. Now, they were created by the Dig Safe Act of 2016. They got actually written into law in 2017, and ever since then, they've been building up, gathering the resources, creating basically this new board, this new entity. Now that they have finally done all of that, their go live date, their effective date is going to be July 1st. So they will be able to investigate accidents, develop excavation standards, safety standards. They will also be helping to coordinate education and outreach programs throughout the state. And on top of that, they will have some form of enforcement. Now, they won't be able to enforce every single aspect of the excavation industry, but as you can see here, the enforcement role basically means that they will be able to initiate enforcement on violations of that Government Code 4216 for people and persons that are not under CSLB, that's Contractor State Licensing Board, CPUC, California Public Utilities Commission, State Fire Marshal, or local government jurisdictions. So they will not be enforcing people that are already covered by those agencies, okay? But they may offer recommendations to those agencies, if that makes sense. So they're the overall governing body, regulatory board over this industry, although they will not be directly enforcing some of these, violations or things that come up. They will be able to recommend to those agencies. Now, a quick small note here, the enforcement aspect can get a little tricky. The Contractor State License Board currently covers all contractors, right? That'd be your typical excavator out there doing the work, and telephone corporations when they're acting as a contractor. The Public Utilities Commission covers all the public gas corporations and all the public electrical corporations. The State Fire Marshal enforces any violations that occur with operators of hazardous liquid pipelines. And the local governments, of course, would handle any of their local agencies. The state, if it's a state-owned facility, the state would be the local government there. If it was a municipality or a city or county, you get the idea. All of those definitions can be found in the California Government Code. This one is 4216.6. All right, I hit the wrong button there. So moving on. Hopefully everyone's doing okay with the questions there with Colin. If anybody has any issues, be sure to put them in that question and answer section so that Colin can address it, or let me know. Maybe I'm going too fast. Maybe you need me to speed up. All right, just let me know. Now, who to call after a damage? Say there's a damage on the job. Now, a damage doesn't just mean you've destroyed a pipe and there's, product escaping everywhere. Damage could mean a small nick, wiping off or a rubbing of the coating, the protective coating on the pipe, or slightly damaging the cathodic protection, or that wire that goes along with the pipe. Any of that is considered a damage. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you caused it. You could have discovered it while uncovering a line. Those still need to be reported. Now, currently, it does say that when you discover or cause damage to an underground facility, the excavator is required to notify the operator of that facility, right? The owner of that utility line. Now, depending on the type of line that is, or if there is any escaping product involved, the excavator may also be required to call emergency services like 911, and all of that is spelled out in 4216.4. Now, none of that is changing, but in addition to that government code section, the 4216.4, there's also an addition going into Title 19 of the CCR, the California Code of Regulations. And a quick note on the CCR stuff, everything on here that says Title 19, California Code of Regulations, you're not going to be able to see that right now in the actual CCR. They're not going to print that or have that available until it's effective, which is July 1st, okay? So just be aware that I'm telling you these things, you're going to try and go look for like the actual source. It's not there yet. It's going to be put up when it becomes effective. So the new regulations in those code of regulations that's going in is going to say that excavators must also contact the regional notification center. That's us, that's 811, if there are certain criteria met. So you have to call the 811 center immediately after you've called 911. If that was the case, you had to call emergency services, or at least 2 hours, no longer than 2 hours. They want to get that call in right away. And all of this is just for damage reporting. This is all to help everybody in the industry stay safer. We need to know what the problems are and where they are so that we can better educate and plan for safety and make sure everyone stays safe on the job, right? We can't fix a problem if we don't know what the problem is. So that's the only reason for these things, just so that we know where the damages are coming from. Now, again, only certain types of damages will this requirement fall under. So if there's any damage at all to natural gas or hazardous liquid pipelines, and that does not matter whether or not there's any escape of product, right? So it doesn't have to be a big explosion or whatever. Like I said, if you just nick that pipe a little bit, maybe you've accidentally rubbed off some of the protective coating, that is technically considered a damage, and that would need to be reported to us if it was one of those two things, hazardous liquid or natural gas. Another situation where you need to call the 811 center to notify us of the damage, as well as the owner of the operator, is a damage to any of the high priority lines. Those high priority subsurface installations are the big ones, right? Those are the high voltage electrical supply lines, 60 kilovolts or higher, the high pressure gas lines, petroleum lines, the big boys that we don't want to mess with in the field, the big dangerous ones. Any kind of damage to those of any kind, which again includes maybe rubbing off the protective coating, a small nick, a scrape, considered a damage. Another one is any damage causing an injury that requires treatment at a clinic or a hospital. So if anybody gets injured in any small way that has to go to a clinic or a hospital, that needs to be reported to us as well. And then any damage that causes a fatality. If there's any fatality involved in the damage or the event or incident, that needs to be reported to us within that 2-hour time frame. Okay. Now, area of continual excavation. This is a big one. This is one that is coming along, specially created for those in the ag industry that work agricultural land, farmers, and for those working in flood control areas or facilities. Now, I'll define flood control in a minute, but the main focus, I think, for us at least at USA North, is the ag community. Now, there are farmers, agricultural industry folks out there who need to work their land. They need to dig on their land continuously, constantly, year round. Every season, every crop, whatever the case may be, they have to do some deep ripping, as you can see in the image there. It can often be a pain for them to have to call in a ticket, and it expires every 28 days, as we know. They have to renew that ticket or keep it open, or it just causes some headaches, some concern. So the ACE ticket, Area of Continual Excavation, is going into an effect for ag land only and for flood control facilities to have a ticket open for a whole calendar year. That means they can call in the ticket. They can say, look, I'm working this specific sized area for a year. I need an ACE ticket. We'll set up that ticket for them. There's some other things involved as far as on-site meetings are concerned. As you can see in the text here, it says on-site meetings can be requested by either party if they're working within 5 feet of any type of line. It could be a water line, it could be a telephone line. Any party at that point can request to have that on-site meeting, in which case it becomes required. If it is, however, within 10 feet of the high priority line, like we talked about, those big ones, right? Petroleum, high pressure gas, high voltage electric, etc., hazardous material. If it's within 10 feet, that on-site meeting is required, and that will happen between the operator of the line and the excavator or farmer in this case. So keep in mind, this is only available for farmers and operators of those flood control facilities. Now I have a tiny note down here on the bottom. Operators of flood control facilities are defined in the law as an engineered basin operated by a state or local agency and used for the temporary slowing and storing of stormwater in which regular removal of debris is required. And that makes sense, right? They've got to constantly grade the land and remove the debris that comes through this runoff channels, et cetera. Well, that's technically excavation in the state of California, so they technically need to have a ticket, right? And this allows them to get a ticket for a whole year on just one area that they'll be constantly cleaning out, all right? Famous last words: I work this land all the time. I don't need a ticket. Unfortunately, that's incorrect, especially considering the state of California law on the matter. They do make it pretty clear that any form of digging is considered excavation. So we definitely need to get tickets in, and that's what this ACE ticket, this new ACE ticket type is for, to get more of those agricultural tickets and more of those flood control tickets in. All right, let's move on. I'm not sure why. There we go. Now, I put this in here because some of you may have heard of some sort of a power tool being used in the tolerance zone. The tolerance zone, of course, is that line, the markings on the ground where the line actually is, right? There's a specific zone near those markings that you have to avoid using any power tools, called the tolerance zone, 24 inches on either side of said line. Now, there was a rule regulation proposed that would say there were certain types of devices that we could use in there, not just hand tools only. I'm not going to go over any of that, except to say that has been delayed. So if anybody had heard of that or was expecting that to come into an effect July 1st, that has now been delayed. I just wanted to let everyone know. Look for that sometime, hopefully in October. But the current laws on the matter are going to stay in place, which is 4216.4, and you can see it's subpart A1. And the hand tool must still be human-powered only. And yes, that is described in the law for a reason, because some folks think that this is a hand tool. And it is, but that's not human-powered, is it? Right? Okay. So the last thing that I want to talk about today is an important update. Now, this one's not coming July 1st. This one's coming January 1st of 2021, but it is important nonetheless. The electronic positive response is a system that is run by USA North 811 and Dig Alert in Southern California. They'll have a system in place as well. And this allows all utility members to post their responses to a ticket in one single unified location. So what does that mean? For one, it makes it a whole lot easier for the excavator to keep track of responses, right? Because it's all going into the same place. Currently, you have to, as an excavator, you have to rely on marks on the ground, which they may not even tell you. They may just go and mark, right? You don't know if it's done or not. They'll send you an email. They'll maybe send you a phone call and say, oh, there's an issue with the site and we need to double check this thing, or you're all clear, everything's okay. But how many people do you have on your ticket? You got 8, sometimes 10 different utility companies on there. So that's 8 or 10 different channels that you have to look out for and watch a response, legally required to watch for these responses before you can begin your excavation. The electronic positive response system will make all of that much easier. Now it all comes into one spot. You don't have to waste your time going to check the job site to see, oh, the marks aren't even done yet and I'm supposed to start right now, and then you're delayed. Or you don't have to waste time checking your emails and seeing, did I get clear from everybody? Is everything okay? It allows the utilities to provide a unique response for each of their facility type. Let's take an example. There's a very famous gas and electric corporation here in California, PG&E. They have gas and they have electric, as we know. They might have marked the gas, but maybe they haven't got to the electric yet. So they can offer responses on each different facility type, which is a big benefit, right? Because if you get a response from one company that has multiple facilities, a better example is a municipality. Municipalities, a city, they might have water lines, electric lines, for street lights. They might have sewer. They have all sorts of different lines. It'd be nice to know which ones are marked, which ones still need work, and which ones are clear, right? And of course, it provides easy documentation. This does allow regulators the ability to verify that utility owners are responding on time, right? Making sure that they're following their part, they're doing their part of the job, following the law. And that excavators are checking those responses before digging. You can't just go out and dig. Even if your time has passed, you have to have a response from the utility company, each one on your ticket, right? So you can find all of this information. You can find anything you want about this electronic positive response on our website. It's usanorth811.org/positive response. If you go to that link, you can learn everything there is to know about positive response, including there's also a link in there to show you, there's a link in there that you can click that will take you to the place where you actually put in your ticket number. It's live right now. It's available. We suggest everybody start using this. It will become mandatory, but start using it now so that everyone gets used to it and everyone's on the same page when this law kicks in on January 1st. So the usanorth811.org/positive-response web link will also offer a link that you can click to put in your current ticket number and see all of your responses. You can also find it right on our webpage. If you go to the quick links bar on the top of our webpage, and you just go right here, electronic positive response. That'll take you straight to the page where you put in your ticket number and you can see what the responses are. And just to give you kind of an example, this is what that page looks like, right? You put in your ticket number, you hit look up ticket, and then it's got all the information there that you need. Shows you who's on your ticket, shows a small little map of your area, a general area of your map, the data from your ticket, right? And then what the responses are. Clear, existing markings accurate, adequate in this case. There may be something on there that says, your site wasn't delineated properly, so now you can go out and fix it and then get them to come back out. Maybe it says, there's an on-site meet required, etc. Okay, that's the whole point. If you need to get in touch, if you have any questions at all, please feel free to email me. Again, my name is Brian Harris. You can always give me a call too. I'm always available. If I don't answer, please leave a message. I'll get right back to you. And let me know if you need help with anything, or if you have any questions about anything at all. I can find the right person to talk to. Okay? So in the meantime, thank you everybody for showing up today and taking a peek at our little law update. Just a few tidbits we wanted to share, like I said, before things become effective July 1st. If you have questions, stick around. I'm going to go through and answer some of these questions, and we'll try and get through them as quickly as we can, all right? Meanwhile, I'm going to stop the recording. Have a good day.